fans around the world, it's time for another Primetime Muscle. Always great to be back with you. Tim Wilkins, along with The Real Deal.
How you doing, Tim?
Very well, my friend. You're looking well.
Thank you, sir.
Traveling all over the world, as is our judge du jour, our official judge that is with us, Tarek El-Guindi.
Thank you, Tim. I think this might be our best combination when it comes to dress code. You look flawless.
What are you... Why I was coming at me with my dress code?
No, because I appreciate when you wear a jacket. And you look nice.
This is not a country club. We do appreciate the fact that
I have a little flair and a little
flair,
a little drip.
A lot of drip.
So I try to drip it out sometimes.
You're like the hotel faucet, man. That drip just doesn't stop.
I try to drip it out. What do you guys think? This was cool, right?
It's nice. I like the threading on it.
Don't even need the collar.
No, or the tie.
The tie.
That's up to us. We'll leave that up to us. And we're going to leave this up to us as well. Wellness has had a lot of interesting, it's only, 3 years old, the wellness category?
The first show, I remember going back to 2018 in Brazil. We called it a model search. And Sandy Williamson was there, myself, JM. But the first Mr. Olympia was in 2020, where Francielle Mattos won. So we can call it a 3-year category.
For the Olympia.
Yeah.
So we've got some rivalry starting to appear. We've also got some controversy starting to appear. And we've got...
It's not rivalries. They hate each other, Tim. I get the feedbacks. The feedbacks are this. Tarek, I can't believe I lost the show to this girl. And then they send me pictures of the other competitor. And they go, this is what's wrong with her.
Right.
So maybe they should do each other
apart.
I could sell a book about feedbacks that I get from the other competitors saying negative things about the people they lost to.
So two at the top up there is Angela Borges. And if you're in America, Rayanne Fogel. In Brazil, Rayane Fogel.
That was perfectly pronounced.
Thank you, my friend. But that's as far as my knowledge goes of these two. What is the big to-do between these two?
So Angela Borges is the greatest wellness champion prior to the implementation of wellness in the IFBB Pro League. When she was in the other federation, she won everything.
I heard she was just unbeatable.
Unbeatable. Now, in addition to that, I gotta give her credit. She was not only a great champion on stage, but off the stage. She expanded the knowledge of wellness all over the world. We wouldn't have an interest in wellness if it wasn't for the popularity that Angela Borges created. And when you see her on stage, she is imposing. She's beautiful. She has the swagger. She carries the aura of a great champion. However, many people believed that at some point, this young competitor, Rayane Fogel, is the future of the wellness. She placed 5th at the Olympia this past year. She placed 3rd at the Arnold. And they believe that she has the ability to dethrone Francielle Mattos, Angela Borges, and Isa Pereira.
This is a lot to ask. When a category is only 3 years old, think back to the start of bodybuilding, think back to the start of even men's physique, how it evolved that fast. To have somebody that's dominant in another league, and we learned that with Michael Krizo this year.
Yeah.
You come into the Pro League, the IFBB Pro League, it's another level. It is an absolute another level. So we're talking Cassandra Gillis, Angela Borges, Rayane Fogel, Isa, and there's one more in there that I'm forgetting. It's not Isa Pereira. There's another one in that top 3 that is the battle to be battled with Angela Borges.
Well, you have Cassandra Gillis. She won the Arnold. She took 4th at the Olympia. You have Julia Chitaha.
Nope,
she has
not
placed
that one.
in the top 5. Isamara Santos.
Still no.
You have, is she Brazilian?
Very Brazilian, very blonde.
Very
Brazilian.
Are you thinking about Isa?
I might be thinking about Isa, and we said Isa, but I might be thinking about Isa Pereira.
You might be thinking of her. You're getting your Brazilian blondes confused, Tim.
There's so many. There are so many to choose from, apparently. No, stupid question. I go down to vacation in beautiful Brazil, and I walk the beach. Is everyone blonde, or is this a competition look?
No, it's a competition look. Now, what you have to understand is this. A lot of people come up to me and tell me, well, the Brazilians are more genetically gifted for wellness and this and that. There's a few factors which are interesting. Brazilian women do not like to be skinny on the bottom, okay? It doesn't cut it for them. If you go to 100 Brazilian women and you say, hey, this is how you need to look to win a competition, and it's the bikini look, it's not with them. They want to have big butts. Brazil, the women love to have big butts. They like it. And the wellness is a representation of what Brazilians like. That's why in Brazil, the wellness is so much more popular. Can you focus? You lost
us both.
There's a song what we're saying right now, okay?
What? There's a song in there somewhere.
I was saying I like big butts and I cannot lie.
Cannot lie.
You lost your concentration. Your eyes are glaring.
I said I like big butts and I cannot lie.
So get back here to primetime muscle now. Okay?
Chris is walking the beach.
I can see big butts.
I was just thinking of what you were saying.
Okay.
And then the song is in my head, and you like trying to.
We're both over here
I
doing
was like, I like big butts and I cannot lie.
When I go judge,
that's it.
When I go judge, the bikini competition is about 20 competitors, 30. And then on the wellness, you have about 80, 90 competitors.
In Brazil.
In Brazil.
Yeah.
Now, in the United States, the bikini look is more popular. But I'm starting to see a lot of girls indulging in that wellness look. And when you talk to competitors that tried bikini, they tried figure, they tried women's physique, and they didn't succeed, they usually look at wellness and say, you know what, I can do that. Now, it's not a division where you carry a lot of fat on the lower half. It's a division where you develop muscle on the lower half. So legs and glutes.
So Chris,
I wouldn't mind a little fat on the lower half, just a little bit.
No, Chris, that's off season.
Yeah, that's off season. Well, but Chris, and you can attest to this, the division developed over time. The division, when that first couple of years when it was NPC and we didn't really have too many making it to the pro league, I used to call it as an MC, it looked like bikini 12 weeks out. Like somebody said, I really don't want to do cardio. Let's just stick here in my lane.
And a lot of the American girls wasn't there yet. They didn't know exactly what they were looking for. So you're just finding like an abundance of looks. Some heavier, some not there yet. Maybe like a glorified bikini competitor. Maybe someone who don't want to diet, or try to manifest their physique down to a bikini look. And so you were getting a lot of that. And a lot of American girls, they still need to get under the racks and get those legs up.
Under that squat bar.
Or something, whatever they're doing to get that legs up.
Well, so Tarek, back to the Rayane Fogao and Angela Borges. Once you taught me, I'm going to say it as much as possible. So what do you see going back and forth with them over the next, let's just say the next upcoming Olympia? I
think that Rayane Fogao has not defeated Angela Borges yet. But I think if she ever defeats Angela Borges, she will never look back again because she is ascending. And if she ever defeats Francielle Mattos, she will never go back. Genetically speaking, her lines, her shape is the most gifted in the category. She is the one to watch. While she's not placing second, she's not placing first, she might just be the future of wellness.
Well, that is interesting to see what's going to pan out there. And we'll see what's in the future of this show when we come back on Primetime Muscle.
People always ask how I got here. I was willing to work just a little harder than everyone else. Every damn day. If I can have hundreds of hours back, you know I'm gonna grab them. Spending hours prepping chicken, rice, and vegetables, F that. I rely on perfect nutrition. I rely on trifecta.
All right, we're back, and this is an interesting one. There is so much more in this generation, guys, with YouTube and the podcasts and the guys that have a lot of opinions on bodybuilding. A lot of them have a lot of street cred to have those opinions, but nonetheless, having that opinion about the sport or about a competitor is one thing, but now they're starting to go after each other. The sharks are starting to eat themselves. prime example, Tarek, who are some of the guys that kind of have this little ongoing animosity?
Well, we're living in a new age where, 20 years ago, you had, just the magazines and they commanded the narrative. And there was nothing else. What you read on the magazines, you read Peter McGov, you read some of these guys, and they were like the narrative. No longer that. A show ends, and then we do breaking news with Primetime Muscle. Everybody knows we are the most respected show in bodybuilding. And then Nick Trigili does his thing, and he does great. Nick Strength and Power goes, and he puts a video with his opinion.
Xavier.
And then Xavier's from Desktop Bodybuilding. Fuad brings his guys there, and there's a lot of people. Bob Ciccarillo, he has the Voice of Bodybuilding. He puts his opinion there. That's perfectly fine. But sometimes guys disagree with each other. And, I was just reading a few months ago, it was Bob calling out Nick Trigili and saying, you got it wrong again. And then they really showed the video of the guy saying, you said this and you are wrong by saying this.
Which is weird because Bob's normally so reserved and keeps his opinions to himself.
Yeah, sure. Bob and Sean Ray, the two most reserved people in the industry. You know what I mean? And it gets frisky because, and I was talking to Jay about this, Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler has his podcast, and I'm a huge fan of his podcast. I love the Menace podcast as well. If you go into these podcasts and you're politically correct and you just try to be nice to everybody and you don't have an opinion, very, very short, people look at you and go, you're just trying to make friends here. You don't have an opinion. One of the reasons that Nick Trigili rose so fast is because he wasn't afraid to say what he meant. Do I think he was right all the time? No, I called him out sometimes. I said, your ass is going to Romania with me and you're going to get on your knees and apologize right there in Cluj-Napoca. Mark my words. And right now he's surrendering to my power, okay? He's surrendering to my power, okay? But I appreciate his audacity. People talk about Nick Strength and Power. Oh, you know what? He has an opinion, this and that. I love Nick Strength and Power. He's awesome. He does a great job, and he's not afraid to give his opinion. In the last Mr. Olympia, he said, I still think Big Ramy is winning this show. I don't care what anybody says. I tell him all the time, don't change a thing. And if you get in a fight with some of these guys, you got to go all the way.
Chris?
Yes, you have to. And even Milos and Bob has a nice little back and forth about the posing. That comes up quite often on the Menace podcast.
Comes up a lot in lobbies with people filming it on iPhones.
Yeah, for sure. And then, it's been like that. I think it creates a whole nother dynamic to social media and to the sport because we're all involved in the same gumbo, this thing called bodybuilding and fitness.
I think about this, guys, and I think about the different podcasts going after each other. It reminds me of that scene in Anchorman when everybody shows up, the sports guys, the guys from Telemundo, and they all want to have this war in the middle. And it's a nonsensical war over someone's quads or someone who didn't or did have a shoulder injection or pulled a bicep tendon. The grand scheme, you go, guys,
balance.
Balance. we try to be supportive of all the guys, and we're not necessarily not taking opinions or sides or setting the standard, but for the most part, we just want to make sure that everybody knows we're supportive of each other because this is it's a small pot of gumbo that we're in.
Correct. And it's a thing that's going to always happen, I think. It's going to always be something that comes up that, someone's going to have something to say and someone's going to not like it.
I love, Tarek, when you see on there, and you get a lot of clickbait on these things on their homepages, shots fired. Shots fired, yeah. Well, 30 years ago, we read Flex magazine, and it was Peter McGov. And he was the mind of bodybuilding. You read Peter McGov, and you got tremendous knowledge. And now we're in a different age where you can pick who you want to listen to. The thing is this. A lot of times, you are actually gaining tremendous knowledge. If you watch the battle between Milos Sarcev and Bob Ciccarillo talking about the posing, right, and you just sit there and you listen to both of them, you're learning. You're learning, right, because both of them are extremely knowledgeable.
And for background for people, they're talking about how the opposing round should be reinstituted.
It's a great debate. It's a great conversation, and I listen to both of them. And I sit there and I'm enthralled by the conversation. When Nick Trigili said, I think Nick Walker won the show because of this, this, and this. And then Bob said, Samson Dauda won because of this and this and this. You don't know what you're talking about the judging. It's a positive conversation. You know, I disagree with Nick, but I'm glad that he's voicing his opinion. Fuad is there voicing his opinion. We might disagree, but I'm glad they're there because we are all on the same industry, an industry that's growing exponentially, and we need guys to have different opinions.
Yeah, but Bob was there. He was close up on the guys. I was there. I'm sitting right there in the media section, right just beyond the judging. And that's a whole other different competition than watching on the screen, watching in the back in the auditorium. It's a whole other competition, and you can clearly see, the good and the bad about all the physiques.
Well, Chris, you're part of that Mount Rushmore of Hall of Fame guys, up there with Chick and Milos. What's your thought on that posing round, and should it be reinstituted, heavily judged? Where should that be?
I honestly think it should be because, I put a lot of time, a lot of personal hours into posing, into understanding how the physique can be, how you can perform, obviously, on the stage, how you present yourself. The presentation and everything is such an art, and it's a lost art in my opinion, but it should matter to these guys because you're building your body. You can pose on Instagram and all kinds of different angles and everything, but once you get, put that time in the posing room, you want it to play out onto the stage, and sometimes you're not going to always hit the pose perfectly on stage no matter how many times you practice. In the heat of the moment, you might step a certain way, your ankle bend in a certain way, or you're not holding your stomach how you want it to be and it's just flaring out. All this stuff can happen on the stage, but it's a big part of the sport, and it's I think it took a back seat to just the freak factor.
Yeah, the WWE, with the guys are posing and hitting the most musculars and
walking back and forth, doing a rap concert, walking back and forth on the stage. It's a whole lot of walking that has nothing to do. I mean, I've used sides of the stage, but I wasn't walking. I was skipping and I was dancing. So I just think, but I do think that in the sport, I think it's needed.
Yeah.
I think it can set people apart from the rest.
As a judge, what's your thought on that?
So I had an opportunity to judge Terrence Ruffin at the Mr. Olympia, and he is the best poser in all categories. It makes him a better classic physique competitor. He poses better on the rounds because he has that kind of posing routine. We do not judge the posing routines at the Mr. Olympia, but Lila Brada said it on the Menace podcast. I've been plugging the Menace podcast left and right, so Dennis, get ready to buy me some dinner. So Lila Brada said, I don't care that's judged or not. I tell my son Hunter, in about 20, 30 years, you're going to see that on social media, and that's going to be your legacy. Terrence Ruffin has not been judged on his beautiful posing routines, but I've been to Romania with him at the Eastern European Olympia, where the promoter paid him money to go there and to teach them about posing. So he might not be judged on stage, but he's actually making money off stage because he's so good. And Terrence Ruffin can look back on all these YouTube videos and show to his family, build his legacy, just like we referred to Muhammad Makawi, in my opinion, the greatest poser of all times.
I still make a pretty penny on, the things I did and the amount of hours that it took for me to get to the point, to make it on stage. And I feel like, I was excited about it. I mean, I tell the story a lot of time, but I would leave work just to go to LA, just to get a session in with someone. and be happy to do so. And that was a 2-hour drive one way, 2-hour back the other way.
Who'd you pose with for the most part?
Robbie Robinson.
Okay.
And he also worked with Terrence Ruffin also. So we're under the same umbrella. But, you know, the way you step, the amount of your foot placing, everything from your toes to your fingers, I mean, to tensing your body at a high rate, but relaxing your face and controlling your facial expression.
So even if it's not judged, guys, it's being judged. And to Chris's point, always, the poses are how you're displaying your muscles, so that it is imperative that even if it's not a judged round, toe placement, knee placement, elbow placement, forward, back, where it is for your body.
How much pressure you put on one foot as opposed to the other. All these things come into play when you're hitting the pose correctly. You don't find that by watching someone on social media.
You got to work with somebody. All right, you two guys, keep on each other. Keep the heat up. Call each other, take each other to task, and keep the excitement in the sport. We're here to support all of you and be a part of your part of the sport, and we appreciate all of you. To be a part of this show,
leave a comment,
like, subscribe.
Let us know who's your second best YouTube show out there. We know already who your favorite show is. We already know. We don't need it.
Here for prime time,
just write
baby.
it down, your second favorite show.
Just the facts. Tell us your second favorite show. When we come back the next time, Tarek El-Guindy, the real deal, Chris Cormier.
Cormier.
That's what's up. And Tim Wilkins. We'll see you on the next Primetime Muscle.